Good morning everybody, welcome back to Mow Time. I hope you're having a great day and I hope you're all getting ready for Christmas. It is only 2 weeks away. So yeah, I hope all your present shopping is getting done and you're getting in the Christmas spirit. Yeah, I have not done my Christmas shopping yet, so I better get onto that pretty quickly. I've been too busy with work lately, but anyway, so yeah, so welcome back to a property. Now today we are doing stage 3 on this property. So we've done stage 1 and 2, which I did videos on at the start of my YouTube channel. At this property, the first one we did was clearing out the trees that were through this garden bed. I'll leave the link up here, and you can click the link to go and see what went on stage 1 of this garden and lawn makeover. And then stage 2 was we did a lawn renovation on the front of this property as well. And I'll put the link to that up in this corner here. You can catch that there, and that takes you through doing a lawn renovation on your lawn at home. For anyone wanting to do a DIY lawn renovation. Yeah, so as you can see here, this is the garden we currently have here. Now it already is a nice garden with a lot of beautiful plants through it and some flowers, but the owners of this property just want to mix it up and have something a bit more border-like and structural sort of thing in place. So you can see the lawn here, there's a few patches, but as you can see, the Sir Walter Buffalo is growing over there nicely. Once we did the lawn reno, it's probably due for another fertilize and a feed soon. I'll let the owners know. The owners take care of the lawn and that here. I just did the lawn reno for them and they continue that. But if you do catch that lawn video, you'll see the state it was in prior to the renovation being done, and you can see the state of it now, which is just 10 times better now than what it originally was. So yeah, so today we are going to be extending this garden bed out further, and we're going to be planting some Mariahs, which they already have here, and they want to just create a nice Mariah border hedge all the way along their front fence here. And then on the inside as a bordering plant, we are going to put some of these, some Tabalgia Dark Stars, and they are a beautiful bordering plant, sort of a grass style plant with a beautiful purple flower. Yeah, really lovely plant, beautiful for borders, very hardy, very simple, and oddly enough they give off like a garlic scent. So yeah, quite nice. And we've got our Mariahs here as well, just in 200mm pots to go in as well, and they're sort of already popping out for this time of year. Just a white flower, but also a beautiful plant. And again, as I mentioned in a previous video, that they are a very popular hedge style plant. Yeah, a lot of nice green too. You get sort of this light green, which is the new foliage coming through, and you can see the darker green, which is older foliage. So yeah, so that's the plan today for stage 3 of this lawn and garden makeover. So stay tuned and we'll take you through doing all this. We're pulling out everything here. We're going to try and savor some of the plants through here. Some of them are just annuals, as you can see there, with a bit of color. We're just going to scrap them, but the other ones we're just going to hang on to and maybe find some pots to put them in, because it'd be a shame to waste them. So yeah, so yeah, so this is stage 3 of the garden and lawn makeover. Like I said, go and catch stage 1 and 2 on my channel previously, or click the links as I said earlier. But yeah, let's get stuck in today, and yeah, let's get our lawn and garden on. Alright guys, so we'll just mention to you, when you're digging out grass to create a garden, just a little tip, it is important to make sure you shake all the dirt off under here. Number of reasons. One, you're keeping soil back in the garden, so there's less to have to put in. 2, if you're having to dump this stuff, like take it to the tip yourself or put it in your bin, in your green bin here in Australia, then the more you shake off, the less weight you're going to be putting in your bin or taking to the tip, which means less costs. The less costs you have to pay at the tip to dump it. So yeah, really important to shake off any of your grass you got underneath. Just give it a good shake like that. Get your hands in there and loosen it all up. Don't worry if some of the roots fall back in, that's okay. But yeah, just give it a good shake like that. And you can already see I've shaken off a bunch already. But yeah, again, you're just putting that good soil back into the garden, and it saves you having to spend more money and purchase more soil when you've already got some there to utilize already. And again, less weight you're taking to the dump or having to put into a skip, so it's going to cost you less in that. Just keep in mind too though, in Australia with our green bins, if your green bin gets way too heavy and weighted with concrete or too much soil, they won't take it away. So yeah, so that's just a little tip if you are creating a garden where lawn was, just to shake off as much soil, and yeah, that'll save you time and save you money. Signs of good healthy soil. Come here, buddy. Put you back in. There you go. Go back to bed. Alright guys, so we've dug our garden edging out, and that's the first step of the process. Yeah, digging out your straight line up your edging. So as you can see here, I've dug out the edging, and with my paint I've stayed nice and straight, following parallel to the fence here. I've gone a metre out from this fence, so yeah. So first things first is digging your edging out, and as you can see, a lot of the soil is still retained because I shook it off, and yeah, it's kept a lot of soil there, so we don't need to replace that. Now there are, as you can see, a lot of little sort of roots in the soil here from the buffalo grass, but I'm not concerned too much about the grass popping back up in the garden, as buffalo grass is a top of the soil grower, where something like couch and whatnot grow with your roots through the ground. So if this was couch grass, then yes, I'd probably dig through a lot more and try and remove a lot of the roots out, but given, yeah, like I said, this is buffalo and it grows mainly through the growth on top of the soil, then I'm not going to worry about moving it out too much. Yeah, another way you could do, if you got a couch lawn and you're worried about it popping back up in the garden, which can happen, and it can be also a nightmare if it does, because if you let it go, then you've basically got grass growing all the way through your garden again, and that can be quite a nuisance to get rid of once the roots establish in the garden. Not easy to spray either, because your plants are right next to it, so you don't want to affect your plants and kill them as well. But anyway, yeah, so we've cut our border, which I've done the shovel, as you saw in the video. The client here today just wants to go with the natural look border, so no edging whatsoever installed. What we're going to do is just make a cut into there. We'll move the soil away a bit more. I just haven't done that yet because I'm not up to that stage, but we'll just end up with a clean cut border like that, as you can see there. It's very popular because it does look very nice, and everything just blends formally from the lawn into the garden. Now the other advantages of this sort of garden edging is it doesn't cost anything. You haven't had to purchase any edging, even though on the previous video I did with the garden install, I put timber in, and again, timber's very cheap as well, with some screws and some pegs and some timber. But this is cheaper than timber. This costs you nothing, just a bit of hard labor work, and you've got a nice clean edge. When you're doing edging like this, just make sure you have a sharp shovel, or it'll be a nightmare, and it'll make the job far harder than what it needs to be. So yeah, if you do have a shovel, make sure it is nice and sharp, just to make that clean cut through the grass and create that clean edge. If you have a grinder, just give your shovel a grind and sharpen it. Yeah, so again, it makes those clean cuts and leaves a nice clean edge for your garden. So yeah, so that's the advantages of doing this sort of edging. And yeah, so on to the next part, which will be removing everything from the garden. So we're gonna go through with the pitchfork. Go through with the pitchfork and dig up everything that we come across. And I found a bit of an old root here as well that's popped its head up, so we'll have to remove him out as well. These are the old stumps, as you can see, that I trimmed back in the very first video, and I've poisoned them, so there's no new shoots coming up. But I'm sure once we get around here, we might run into a few roots we might need to dig out of the way. The clients are happy to not have them completely removed. We're just going to step the plants out around them, and when the mock oranges grow, or the Marias, they'll cover that up. You won't even see them anyway. So yeah, so you can catch a little how to do that in the first video I did on this garden and lawn makeover. I did a little instructional thing on how to kill stumps that you have chainsawed out. So if you haven't caught that, I left the link earlier. You can click that link, and at the end of that video you'll see how to kill stumps that you want to kill in your garden, but don't have the energy or the equipment to physically dig out, or they're just too big. Then yeah, that is a cheap option of how to kill the stump. But yeah, all right, so let's get on to the second step in this garden renovation, and we'll remove everything out of here. Alright, so we have dug out the garden bed now. I just went through with the pitchfork and turned it over. Unfortunately though, the old pitchfork caved it in, and now she's a 3-prong pitchfork, which is kind of annoying, but it's still doable. But yeah, time for a newie, I think. So yeah, we have gone through and pulled everything out of the garden bed. And so it's nice and bare now. Now you don't need to pull absolutely every teeny minuscule bit out. I haven't, purely because I'm putting a whole bunch of new garden soil on top of this, and that'll sort of smother it. And then also we're putting like a 50 to 100 mil layer of mulch on top of that once the plants are in. So yeah, I'm not too concerned about the little things that'll be deep down in the dirt, punching its way back up through the new soil, and a big layer, nice thick layer of mulch will cover that. And then once the plants are bedded in and established too, they'll smother them out. So yeah, not too concerned about that. So yeah, that's the second step on doing the garden renovation today. Now it's smoko, morning tea time. So we're coming into summer here in Brisbane. And yeah, a lot of our summers can be pretty hot. It's 26 degrees today, but it is humid. We are forecasted to have rain for the weekend, and hopefully that's the case. So hopefully I get the plants in by this afternoon, and then the rain will arrive and everything will be perfect, and they'll get a good, nice drink in. But yeah, if you are working outside this summer on your lawn and garden, make sure you stay hydrated, make sure you put a hat on, and make sure you wear a bit of sunscreen. because yeah, you can just dehydrate really fast. So do make sure you stop, have something to eat, re-energize, drink plenty of water and a Powerade or some sort of energy drink. Not a fizzy drink though, not good for your stomach while you're laboring. Make sure it's a non-fizzy drink. Nothing like Red Bull or Monsters or anything like that. Not good for when you're doing some laboring and sweating it out outside. You'll get more beneficial use out of a cold drink of water or some cordial or a Gatorade or a Powerade or something like that. So yeah, I'm gonna stop now for morning tea or smoko, go and get a bite to eat and re-energize and get back into the next stage of this garden makeover, which will be bringing in the new soil. Bringing in the new soil and just cleaning up our edge along here, as you can see, because I've dug through the garden. It's sort of pushed a lot of the soil back to the edge. So we'll clean that edge up and we will get the new garden soil in, and then it's ready to plant. So yeah, I'm gonna go fuel back up and we'll see you back here for stage 3. All right, so we are back. I am refueled and ready to get back into it. Cells are all full back of glucose and ready to rock and roll. So now we're just going to turn it over, get the mattock or the pick out and turn the soil over a bit. As I went through here with the fork, a lot of the sections were quite hard and chunky, so we just need to break that up a bit to make it far easier to plant in when you're digging your holes and that. So, and it's just better to break up the soil, but anyway, just so it's not so clustered. If you do run into clay soil, which is super hard to dig through, then just keep in mind there are soil amendments you can add to it, and to try and break that soil down to make it easier to dig through. They're not instant, obviously. It won't instantly break down the clay soil. You might have to treat it with something like gypsum, which is a pretty common product you can buy in sort of bags, and it's a white powder, and you just sort of spread it over the affected areas and give it a water and let that seep in, and that, so it's like WD-40 for, you know, loosening up a rusty bolt or something like that. It's like that in the garden world. Gypsum, it just put it over and it breaks down the soil. I don't know the technical analysis on how it does that specifically, but yeah, it's one that's been out for years and it's commonly used here in Brisbane for breaking down real clay soils. So yeah, that's an option if you are hitting very clay soils in your lawn or your garden, then that's an option to use. This doesn't have any clay soil or rock hard soil. It's just, yeah, just been compacted over the years of sitting here for many years, and yeah, it just needs the mattock to turn it all over and loosen it up, so we're all good to go for planting. So yeah, that's the next step. So we'll get stuck into turning the soil over, and then we'll bring the new soil in, and then we're cleaning up the edges and good to go for the planting. So yeah, let's get into it. Alright, it's definitely humid. Crikey, there's definitely rain coming. Never gets this muggy and humid and without a storm or some rain coming this afternoon. So we're moving along nicely. So as you just saw, I just went through and got my metal rake, which is what you want to do next when you've got sort of chunky bits like that. Go through and rake through your garden bed, and you're sort of just pulling out all the left behind dirt chunks and bits and bobs that the rake will pull through and leave the soil, as a metal rake does. So so as you can see, the finishing product, not finishing product, but you know, product after doing a rake with the metal rake through, you level it out, but you're also pulling out all the other rubbish and whatnot through the garden bed that you don't really want in there, and just tidies it up more, and you've got more looser soil in there ready to go. So yeah, so I went through and this is what you can see I pulled out. So pulled out all this sort of stuff, see? Stuff you don't really want in your garden bed and whatnot, and just these big chunks that are rock solid, see? It breaks down now, but anyway. Just pulls out those chunks anyway, and leftover roots. I ran into an old tree that was in the ground. It was obviously dead and easily to disintegrate now, so ran into that. But it just pulls all that rubbish out that you don't want in there, and makes your garden bed a much better starting spot for planting in. So yeah, so that's the next stage. Get your metal rake. If you haven't got one, you can buy one from Bunnings for super cheap, like 30 bucks, 40 bucks. Don't buy a cheap one. That is just a tip. Do not buy cheap garden tools. You get what you pay for in garden tools. If you buy cheap garden tools, they will break and snap and not last very long. So if you're going to get yourself, regardless of shovel, a pick, a metal rake, a normal plastic rake, anything, spend the money and just get at least the half decent equipment or the most expensive equipment. Because it'll pay for you in the long run, and you'll have your garden equipment for much longer time. And also getting better quality equipment can at times over the years, I found, make jobs easier, less labor intensive. And then, you know, it's the age-old saying, the poor man pays twice, which I learned a number of years ago when I would buy the cheap stuff and I'd be replacing it regularly all the time. When I finally figured out, hey, buy good quality stuff, and lo and behold, it lasts a lot longer. So yeah, the poor man pays twice, remember that. Yeah, so that's that stage. Now we can move on to moving the new soil in. Oh, sweaty. All right, new garden soil is in and we are ready for planting. I've just gone through with the metal rake and again, just leveled it all out again. Just a bit of my OCD, making it nice and tidy before moving on to the next step. Always is a good way to go, but yeah, I've just gone through and metal raked it, made it nice and smooth and even. So there's an even distribution of soil, and important to do this as well, because once you plant your plants, it just keeps everything level, so when you mulch at the end, you're not having to mulch other areas thicker to bring it up nice and level for your finished product. So once you've put your garden soil in, make sure you go through and make it all nice and level throughout. That way, yeah, once you lay your mulch, you don't have a, you know, wavy garden bed, and you're not having to pile on thickened mulch some areas and then thin it out in other areas, which isn't good. You just want an even 50 to 100 mil layer of mulch on top. If you are using tea tree is what we're using this job today. So yeah, so that's it. So on to now the next step, which is planting the plants in. So I gave them a good drink last night, so they're okay just to withstand today sitting the way they are. If you do buy plants and don't plant them straight away, don't forget to water them and try and yeah, keep them watered so they're nice and healthy when you pull them out of the pot, ready to go into the ground and start establishing their roots. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. So yeah, let's get stuck into the planting. through a little beginner's guide to planting. Yeah, so what I've done first is dig my hole, obviously. First thing to do is dig your hole, but you need to gauge how deep you need to go and how wide you need to go. So these are only 200ml pots. So easy guide is make a hole, get your pot, stick it in. You're like, yep, it's nice and wide, got plenty of space around the pot. And the pot is sitting level with the top of the soil. So we know our pot is deep enough. So if you're unsure, just keep putting your pot in, check it, be like, oh no, need to take a little bit more out, dig a bit more out, and put it back in. And away you go. So that one's perfect. So yeah, next thing I'm doing at the moment is putting the water crystals in, as you would have seen in my previous video. So I've just mixed up a batch of water crystals, which just help retain water around the root system and promote root growth. The roots will always chase the water. But going through these hot summer days too, it's helpful in retaining moisture around the roots when we've got these warm days coming through, even though we're meant to have rain coming. Yeah, now what I want to talk about too is putting a slow release fertilizer in or not. So a lot of times I get questions and people wonder, should I put in a slow release fertilizer along with my plant? I mean, really, the answer is no. You don't have to. Because, I mean, in this situation, I've put in rich organic compost soil for starters. And two, a lot of the pots, a lot of the plants that come in these pots already have slow release fertilizer in it that was put in from the nursery that grew it. So when I pull this pot out, I'll show you, just give it a bit of a squeeze, and then just nice and gently, not pulling the tag with me, nice and gently pull it out. Now, as you can see here, there's little yellow pellets there. That is slow release fertilizer, and that was put in, like I said, from the nursery that originally grew the plant. Now, these are quite still a bit wet because I watered them last night. So we don't need to loosen or break up the root system at all, just to make the roots spread out easier. Sometimes you'll get pots, and if they're left in the pot too long, the roots, it basically becomes root bound and there's just roots everywhere. If that's the case with the pots you've purchased, you will need to sort of break that up a bit and get the roots to disperse a bit. Sometimes you'll need some secateurs if it's really root bound to try and clip the roots and break them up. But yeah, so some's fallen off in the pot, and as you can see in the pot too, there is some slow release fertilizer still in the pot too. But yeah, we don't want to waste that obviously, so throw that in the hole. Yeah, so once you've got the thing out, just this again is pretty loose, so I don't need to do anything with it, and you can just pop that in the hole. Now back to the whole slow release fertilizer thing, should you do it? Yeah, you definitely don't have to, because there, like I said, is already slow release pellets in the plant from the nursery, so you don't need to do it. You know, if it's on your head and you've heard otherwise that you must do it, then what I'm doing today, you can do what I'm doing, is just plant in, make sure it's facing the way you want it to face. Alright, there, just make sure it's centered and aligned with the other plants, and you can start to backfill. Now when you're backfilling your soil, just make sure you don't just fill the hole in and then push it down. Half fill the hole when you backfill it, push all that down, get around it, make sure it's compacted all in to keep the plant nice and tight. And then once you've compacted it, then backfill some more. There we go. And again, just pressing around the outer rim of the plant, compacting that soil down. And now once I get to the top here, I have got some sort of starter, plant starter from Osmocote. It's just got slow release pellets and some organic pellets in there. Again, it's just a plant starter, so it's not too bad. You can see in there. So I just give a little sprinkle. You don't need much. Don't make the mistake of over fertilizing a plant. These are slow release, it's very small, it doesn't need a great deal. It isn't the case that if you apply more, the plant will be healthier. That's not the case. Like the human body, you can have too much of something, and the plants are the same. They're still a living cell organism, so you can over neutralize a plant. So again, just stick to the recommendations, and I just do just a nice little sprinkle, not too much around the plant, Again, don't forget, we already have slow release fertilizer down below in with the plant. So yeah, just a nice little sprinkle, not too much, that's it, call it at that. Yeah, so once you've done that, then I put a little bit of soil over the top of that just to make sure any rain or anything like that coming through doesn't wash your fertilizer away. But again, at the end, once it's in, you need to push down around the outer circle of the plant. And this is important, especially if you're planting on a slope, this is important. And you're creating a moat around the plant. And this is to, well, a moat is something that holds water around the outside of a castle, say. So you're creating a moat to do the exact same thing. So when the rain or you water the plant, the moat around the plant catches the water and holds it there. Again, very important if you're planting on a garden with a slope, because that moat is even more important to hold that water around the plant instead of it washing away down the hill. So yeah, once the plant's in, create that moat, as you can see here, and that's it, we're done, it's ready for watering. So yeah, so that's a beginner's guide to just planting a plant with us. Alright guys, plants are finally in. Had to change my shirt, my other one was drenched in sweat, so change into the next shirt and now this one's drenched. So yeah, it's definitely, well, it's humid, but it's gone away again, and grey clouds have come back over, as you can see behind me. Thought I just heard some thunder. Anyway, mulch is next. So yeah, plants are in and they're looking spectacular. I love this variety of plants, and I love the purple colour as well. These as border plants just look amazing. So yeah, plants are in. Now it's time to get the mulch in, and hopefully we can smash the mulch in, get it down before the rain hits, and that'll be perfect timing. So yeah, let's crack on with the mulch. Alright guys, we are all done here now. Plants are in, mulch are in, and now it is time to water. So I've used tea tree mulch on this garden bed. Great smelling mulch and easy to work with in these small garden beds. So yeah, we'll have a quick little look at the completed product. Yeah, pretty happy with that. So yeah, give it a good water in, and I think we're about to get smashed by some rain, which is perfect timing and worked out well. But yeah, that's it. So yeah, time for a water in. We'll give it a sea salt water in. So yeah, just mix a bit of sea salt with your watering can. Helps to promote root growth and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, all right. Alright guys, so that is a wrap here for stage 3 of this lawn and garden makeover. We have completed now the front up to where the clients wanted it to be. They got builders coming in to start doing building on the house, but they just wanted to get the lawn and garden somewhat up to date where they would like it. So we are finally there. So as I mentioned at the start, you can see the first stage of this garden and lawn makeover, and there's a second video on stage 2, and that was the lawn renovation. You can see that I'm standing on behind me, and stage 3 was the full garden renovation. So yeah, we just got it in. We just had a nice shower come through here in Brisbane finally, and it's meant to pass through and then come back again tonight, and hopefully a bit more over the weekend. So a beautiful afternoon shower to finish this Friday afternoon and to finish it off in this lovely garden makeover job. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you learnt something from today's video, just some little tips and tricks for doing your own garden bed at home. Of course, if you have any comments or questions, put them down below and I will happily get back to you when I can. But yeah, but that's it for now. So yeah, keep staying tuned. Make sure you subscribe and like the videos if you do. And yeah, just make sure you hit that notification bell as well to keep up with upcoming videos. So yeah, hopefully this weekend you'll get out into your lawn and your garden and start to learn as I'm doing. And of course you learn by doing and learn by watching my YouTube videos as well. So make sure you subscribe to them so you can learn off them too. But yeah, anyway, Christmas is coming. We've got to get everything ready. I'm working right up until Christmas, unfortunately. That's the way the landscape garden maintenance works. Everyone wants everything schmick and ready for their Christmas lunches and Christmas dinners and families coming over and everything and that. So yeah, it's always chaotic for mower guys like me leading up to Christmas, which I will never complain about. Never say no to work, and I'm always happy to be busy. So yeah, anyway, take care guys, and we'll see you in the next video.